Welcome to episode 7 of the New Knowledge Podcast.
Episode 7.
We're back.
We back.
Doing something a little different.
Yes, sir.
We've got 4 guests to start off with.
4 of them, bro.
And especially after the Breonna Taylor ruling, we decided to do something a little different. So instead of going into a lot of the current events, we'll just focus on that one. And we are joined by 4 amazing young Black women.
Amazing.
To really go into a deeper conversation about the portrayal of Black women and the image of them, especially in the 21st century.
And in this society.
So let's just get straight into it.
For sure. We are the voices of tomorrow.
The warriors of the unheard.
LA's finest.
You are listening to the New Knowledge Podcast.
Yes, sir!
Woo.
Let's Episode 7,
We back.
And we're here with 4 amazing, beautiful women. Our first 4 guests in a really long time. So we can start.
Guests
Ever. Most guests we've had. Cat. So this is gonna be an amazing episode. So I'm really excited for us and for you guys. So you guys can introduce yourselves.
My name is Gabriella. I'm attending Northwestern University. I'm a freshman. I'm majoring in biomedical engineering, and I'm a part of El Segundo for Black Lives to advocate for Black individuals within my hometown.
This was us. That partnership.
The name drop.
For sure.
I'm Delaney. I'm originally from Los Angeles, but I'm currently a first year at Harvard College. I'm supposed to be concentrating in anthropology on the pre-med track. And yeah.
All right, for sure.
Hi, I'm Samantha Jackson. I'm a freshman at UCLA, and I'm a theater major.
Hey, bro, that's what's up. Diversity.
Hey, y'all. I'm Tyrah Lacy. I'm a freshman at Howard University. I'm a health management major, and I am soon to be starting a clothing line. So follow my Instagram at officialty with 2 Ys.
Ooh, with the shout out and with the HBCU love, we know what it is. Morehouse over here. You already know what it is.
And so, I guess before we get into it, I just want to recognize this isn't anything, or isn't an anomaly for. Yeah. A lot of this to happen, especially for like young Black men and women doing amazing things, going to amazing colleges. Although it may seem like the exception, it really shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
It should be more of a standard. So
yeah.
Just recognizing that off jump.
And how amazing it is, though.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. All of us
it's great.
To such amazing Wisconsin University.
Yeah, we had a podcast. Just hit up some friends.
These are friends,
here
bro.
We are. It's not anything we're looking for. Just
Yeah, we personify success. Oh, that was deep. I love when I say stuff like that. All right, so we can dive into it. So
last week,
you can go ahead and take this.
Yeah.
one.
So as you all most know. Last week, we got the ruling from the Breonna Taylor case. I mean, I'm still kind of at a loss for words, considering how much like passion and how much heart that it spread like throughout the nation, and especially after 100 some, 200 some, or it was like
190 some days,
about 200 days after she was murdered, and for the ruling to pretty much not even
give justice to
it's not even like it didn't give justice. It like didn't recognize she was even like there, like for whatever reason. It was like a wanton charge, which pretty much at the end of the day means that the officer was charged for like shooting bullets at the walls and possibly hurting neighbors at the site of the killing.
Yeah.
So for the other 2 officers not to even get charged, and for one of them to get charged for shooting at the walls, it's really sad that it didn't even recognize her existence.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the politicians say, regardless of whatever it is, it's just really sad. So what we wanted to do, especially now, was give more of a platform for these young ladies to tell how they feel. Because I mean, we can say how we feel. These are just our perspectives, but we really wanted to see.
It means more coming from them.
Yeah.
Right. It's more connected to kind of how they live life.
Yeah, and I mean, just after all of this, even in the wake of the Black Lives Matter protests, it always seemed like her name was being pushed down to the bottom of the agenda,
or used to get another dollar.
Or used to get another dollar, used for whatever purposes. So we just really wanted to. It wouldn't do our platform justice to also skim over it.
Yeah. So, what was you guys' like take on what had occurred and how it all went down over the last, about 200 days? You guys can go in that same order, or could just, you know what I'm saying? You can just fly by.
I mean, for like me personally, kind of just reawaken the fact that as Black women in America, we're kind of just seen as invisible. Like, as you said, even within the Black Lives Matter protests, sometimes her name was more just thrown around as like an extra token instead of like as a person who is being affected by this. Because obviously when it comes to police brutality, the focus is more on Black males, but it does also happen with Black women. And a lot of times we don't get the recognition or as much, I guess like as much fight in trying to like stand up for us as Black women. A lot of the focus is on Black men, which is again completely understandable, but it, I guess, time and time again makes us feel like forgotten, kind of like erased, like we get put to the back burner.
Yeah, I think the ruling, it was unfortunately, like, it's disappointing, but it's not surprising. And so like I think I was in between classes, like I had an hour, and I think the ruling like came right as I was in class. And it was unfortunate because like I was in a public policy class and nothing was even mentioned about it. And like you'd think that the professors or anything would be sensitive enough or even kind of cognizant enough of the feelings of their students, but it was just like not at all mentioned. But yeah, definitely not surprised, just because I think also before like what was it, the Louisville brought in the National Guard, and it's like, why would you bring in the National Guard if you knew something was going to go well? So it was always kind of like earlier precedents of them not like prosecuting police officers for violence against Black people, but also like it's unfortunately, but that's kind of the norm now.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of Delaney, they announced that they were going to board up the courthouse like days or like before the actual case, which I thought was very sus. So they already knew it was going to go bad and that people were going to be upset by the ruling. But yeah, it's not surprising. I mean, it's something we see time and time again. And, we all know that Malcolm X quote that the Black woman is the most unprotected person in America. And I mean, that just holds true. It's just sad. Like it's sad that it has to be normalized like this. And I almost feel desensitized to it because it just happens so often, and it's really hard to see kind of the silver lining or like a light at the end of the tunnel with all of this going on.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody said. I just think that in society, from the beginning, Black women have been here to care for, and we have not been cared for, if you understand what I'm saying, because in slavery, we're taking care of masters and taking care of our families, and then you go to Jim Crow and segregation, and now you're maids and everything. So we're always making sure everyone else is okay, but in the meantime, we're still trying to work and make things work for ourselves. And nobody really sees that, and nobody really acknowledges that. And that's what irritates me, because she was a person, like she was a sleeping person at that. So for her to not get the justice that she deserves for being a person, for being somebody who takes care of, she was an EMT, you're just gonna let that slide? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Those are the people they usually protect, is people who work in like fire departments, police departments. So why is she different just because she's Black?
Yeah, and I think there's also like her family won a civil suit for I think $12 million. And so it's like she's worth $12 million, but yet she's not, her life isn't enough to be kind of prosecuted in a criminal court. So it was just kind of really inconsistent between what was happening with the family and that money, and then what was actually going to happen with these cops.
Right. You also see how like a bunch of brands just kind of took her name and said, oh, justice for Breonna Taylor, and, you know, posters and billboards and just all this publicity kind of centering around her name. Yet, like, okay, that's cute, but like, you know, we need actual justice for her, and that wasn't served. So it's like, you know, like what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, like the one thing is like the leaps and bounds that like the government goes through, like settling lawsuits and like all of, and you know, having to board up the entire city and like all these costs and stuff that like these governments like go through, versus not even like charge 3 cops. That's all. That's what it is. Or it's like not even.
Yeah.
Like you pay 12 million this, throw away money for that, and like it's just to uphold this, you know, this sort of like white supremacist like ideal from a police perspective. It's I mean, just
like it's like they're paying for her life, like literally. Yeah. Like they're like, well, we acknowledge that it was lost. We're gonna build a bunch of publicity around it, make Hulu shows, make all this, that Hulu show. I mean, that's just where I feel like it crossed the line.
Yeah.
Like this is going on for so long, you got a show about her and there's still no justice. That means you were in production, right? But to put out episodes. And during that entire time, through all the people you interview, nobody cared to give a figgity stick about anything that was going on. So it was just, it just hit me, and it was surprising. And you know, I just want to know you guys' like take on, I guess, the way social media has been handling this. Because personally, for me, I've been seeing a lot of people who don't ever support the Black woman as a people and as an individual, that are constantly posting these like Malcolm X quotes and posting stuff out of like, you know, what is like your take on how people on social media have been handling this type of thing?
I feel like it's a little complicated because there are a lot of individuals who are just very unaware that things like this were still happening. Like a while before, like I had friends when the first shootings had happened, and they were like, I had no idea like this was like an actual thing. I thought it was like a rare occasion, because they're not forced to know, like they have the privilege of being able to like gloss over subjects such as these. But at the same end, there's a lot of people who I feel as though are doing it more for show, because if you're not necessarily like posting about it, people are labeling you as racist because you're not doing enough to support the movement, because it's almost as if it's becoming a trend right now, which is, I feel like, justified by the fact that she didn't get any justice. Like all of this movement that we're doing, a lot of people are doing it more for show than anything else, because as you said, like they're posting all these things on social media, but in real life, they're not advocating for even the individuals like in their life that are going through these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of performative activism, but it's a kind of like a double-edged sword, because it's like, yeah, it doesn't, maybe it's, they don't take it seriously and they don't have those personal beliefs, but maybe the people that they are connected to do kind of believe that. And it's also, it's just kind of the spread of like social media. While maybe they don't believe it, other people that follow them or they follow believe it, and then they spread it to other people. So I think that's kind of like the performative activism is kind of like a personal problem, where it's like, you kind of need to fix the hypocrite that you are, but it also is kind of getting to other crowds and other people. So it's kind of a tricky situation.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. There were girls at, you know, my private Catholic all girls, white girls at my school posting like the black square. And I'm like, girl, like you don't even, like I literally saw you sing the N-word the other day. Like, what do you, like, you don't care. Like, you don't know what's up. So I definitely see that posting things on social media has become more so of a trend rather than actual activism. And which is frustrating, because I know I do have some friends that are actually trying to educate people by posting things and news articles and things like that, but other people just want to be socially accepted and not demised or scrutinized by people. So.
Yeah, I think the problem with social media is that everybody thinks they can learn from it, and it's giving you all the facts. Like social media is a series of 10 posts that tell you this person got shot by the police, this is who it was, get justice for them. Like you don't really know the situation. And I think if people use social media to go deeper into subjects, or like go to Google and look up who is this, how can I help, where can I donate, then that would be different. But everybody just thinks, oh, let me click this thing on her story and put it in my story, and I'm an activist now. Like, that's not how this works. And I just don't really, I use social media personally. Like, if I see a change.org petition or something, I'll go read it, sign it, do what I need to do. But some people just don't understand that social media is not life. And that goes for facades on people's pages to activism. And if you're using social media just as a way to look like you understand, look like you're active, then that's just pointless, and it's stagnant energy that's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like during the time, well, actually throughout this entire thing, I've seen Breonna Taylor's face every single day on every single person's story.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so, I get Amiri a little bit. I'm like, all right, well, let me go tap into the person to see what they understand about what's going on. Because what I hate is a hypocrite. I hate somebody who will do something, show it off, brag about it. Someone who feels as if they're entitled to some sense of knowledge because, maybe just of the color of the skin, or maybe just because they have Black friends or something. But I think it's more important for you to actually understand why all of this is going on. That this isn't just some 6-month thing that we've been going through, and once we get a new president, we're gonna take a hiatus from everything. Like, I think people need to really understand the depth of this movement and the depth of what we're doing. So I pressed a few people about them posting, and it turns out that a lot of people, like Tyrah said, are just reposting the repost.
Yeah.
Right. It's like they don't actually know, but it's their way to feel as if they're showing support. For sure.
So I wanted to go or kind of merge back to a point that Tyrah made earlier about about how Black women have cared like throughout history of America. So like, how do you guys feel about like that dynamic, especially like within the Black community, like in terms of like Black women and Black men? How, I mean, it's sad to see. Like, I saw this, or I remember I reposted this one thing, like Black men treat misogyny like white people treat racism. It's like, we can say all this stuff about you guys aren't understanding. You guys aren't, but like within our own community,
we continue to kind of carry on the stereotypes that society inputs. Yeah,
I mean, it's like, so I guess, how do you guys feel about that like dynamic? Because you guys get at like what I was saying, like how Black women are caring for not only society but for Black men in particular. You guys have always stuck up for us throughout it all, and still some Black men don't recognize just how great you guys are. So I guess, how do you guys feel about that dynamic?
It's incredibly toxic on like numerous fronts. I mean, even if you're just speaking on like what's been happening a lot right now on social media with like you see Black women, we're standing up for Black men in every aspect, especially when it comes to racism. And not only in standing up for Black men do we generally get like forgotten and the focus is on you, but also then there's been a lot of trends even on TikTok where like Black guys are like snow bunnies or Black girls. And one, you shouldn't pin women against each other at all, because all women are beautiful, but you'll constantly see them like berating the people who look like their mother, their sister, their friends. And it's like, these women are giving their hearts to make sure that, you're trying to live the safest life as you can possible in like the society that we're living in, yet you're tossing them to the side and treating them like trash. And also just the double standard of like, they're constantly speaking about how, everyone's speaking about how like white people treat Black individuals, but then you treat your woman like to the same kind of criteria. And even if it's not because of their race, it's because of like their sex. I've had a Black male come up to me and kind of be like, hey, yo, like, I'd make you my wife and we'd have the best dynamic because I'd come home and you'd have dinner cooked and you would have cleaned the whole house. And something about that just really did not sit right with my soul. And he called me wifey material because I look like the submissive type that would just like cater to his every whim. And I was like, that's kind of disgusting. No, that is disgusting and kind of horrifying. Just like, I feel like we're at a point now where we should have gotten over this. But Black men also use Black women as their caretakers, as their tools to just kind of like, you know, Black women aren't your mother. They don't need to be doing the chores for you. And then like you're disrespecting them on top of it. There's a lot of layers to it, but it's really annoying, and it's hard as a Black woman where like you're supposed to feel safe in your own community, where sometimes you feel attacked by your own like Black males.
Yeah, just like kind of like what Gabby said. I don't know if it was on TikTok, but I saw it on the Shade Room last night, and my mom were talking about it, and it was like this Black girl and this Black guy like asking Black guys if they like Black girls or white girls. And so a lot of them are saying, no, I don't like Black girls because they're too ghetto and they have so much attitude, and like just perpetuating this narrative that society has already placed upon us. And it's like, like it just angers my soul. I even have like some men in my family who like, you know, love their mothers and aunts and stuff, but then go and treat Black women like trash and in relationships and things like that. So yeah, it's horrifying. And I feel that we go so hard for our men, and we do everything we can to make sure that they're in the positive light and cared for and are being safe, and they just don't reciprocate that and don't see how much we do for them.
I totally agree. Like, I'm just gonna start by saying I love me a Black man. Like, if it's a Black man, I'm there. But it's like, if you don't show me the same love, I'm not the type of person who's gonna stick it out, because my mind is not made for that. I'm gonna go somewhere else. So it's just like, I just feel like it's been like this forever though. We want to protect our men, but we don't get the same protection. And if you look at the standard whatever of a woman, we're supposed to be the ones who are most fragile. So why aren't we getting the protection? And it's just crazy to me. And if you go back to Sojourner Truth's Ain't I a Woman, she's talking about these things. She's talking about how she's a woman. She can get helped out of the carriage, but no, they have her breaking her back to pick cotton. So Black women are people. It's a group of people who you profit off of. We don't get the luxury of being the people to profit, if you know what I'm saying, like without a whole bunch of words. We're not allowed to build our own because we have to keep building for others. And it's sickening to me, because I want to be my own person. I don't want to have to sit here and pick up your socks every time you take one off. I don't want to have to put your shoes back in the closet because that's how you like it. I don't care. Like, the most relatable line to me right now is Cardi B, I don't cook, I don't clean. No, I don't. I'm not gonna clean up behind you because I want a maid 3 times a week. I'm trying to make enough money to have a maid 3 times a week. So what makes you think I'm gonna clean for you? Like, it's just the standard of a Black woman. It's always the one who cooks, who cleans, who makes sure everything's okay, who makes sure the kids are home. Cool, that's awesome. But let me live my life too, while you sit there and help me live my life. Don't just throw me out there into the streets and just let me freaking like destroy myself in the process. Support me, be my support, like I'm your support. And that's just where it gets lost when we're trying to help Black men, but they're not trying to help us in the process. They're just trying to disrespect us and get their little piece of something and then go. So that's my take.
I mean, like, it really is like we're just kind of tools, I feel like, for everyone to mooch off of. And not even just in the caretaking sense. It's like rape culture is a horrible pandemic that's basically like rampant, especially in the Black community. Like, we don't talk about it. But I mean, how many girls, especially when you're in like the inner city, have been assaulted by their uncles or their like guy cousins, and no one speaks about it. And it's just like the fact that the most we're kind of just seen to amount to is just like something for people to use and then throw away after is disgusting, and it hurts. It's really hard because you're never like you're just never a person. You're not yourself. You're just always something for someone else.
Yeah, honestly, that's why I hate the shows like Love and Hip Hop, all those shows, hate them. Like, I do not give them my money. You're not going to get a view from me because it's already people saying Black women are so ghetto. All they do is create ruckus wherever they go. And then you create a show like that. Like, that's just so counterproductive to me, especially for it to be like the face of it is a Black woman. Like, that's just so stupid to me. And it's just feeding the narrative that everybody already believes. But then you got white girls and Mexicans walking around with acrylics and color hair, but we're ghetto, right?
Yeah, I wanted to add on to, I agree with what you said, Tyrah. I also wanted to add on to what Gabby said about the rape culture. So in my African American studies class, we read a book called Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl by Harriet Jacobs, where she basically discloses the sexual abuse and objectification of Black women. And unfortunately, that has just the ownership of just the demeanor of slaveholders having that manipulation and control over Black women has since percolated into our society today, into our modern day culture, where we have, rap songs, movies, music videos. You see like people like, Black men kind of perpetuating that narrative of this over-sexualized version of Black women, and just really dehumanizing us and kind of limiting us to nothing more than like a sexual object, I feel. And so that's also part of the reason why I feel Black men don't go hard for Black women, because we're just seen as like a sexual object or just something to play with, and not as an actual human.
And you see that even like within kind of like a protectiveness, like guys, a lot of times Black men won't stand up for Black women unless they are attracted to them and are kind of hoping they can get something out of that relationship. Like, and they don't really hold their homies accountable. Like, as you could say, like they'll know that their friend is pretty much trash, a utter creep, sexually harasses women. I mean, I know at my elementary school, there was a kid who was sexually harassing some of the like female students. He eventually got kicked out, but then when he came back, all his friends were like, I don't know why everyone's still upset over it. Like, he only sexually harassed some 4-year-olds. Like, they don't hold each other accountable. And it's just like, oh, if he did that to you because I care about you, then he's like problematic. But if they do it to anyone, like another random Black woman, they won't care because they don't think they can get anything out of that woman. So it's again just like, we're tools, and so you only really protect us when you think you can get something out of us, I guess.
Yeah, I was even on Instagram. Well, y'all, I'm not a hothead, but I was a hothead, and I was arguing with the Black guy about rape and like abortions and things, and he's like, well, Black women have the highest abortion rate. You need to learn what a condom is. I'm like, so you gonna tell us that the next time our uncle rape us, I'm gonna tell him, wait, stop, put this condom on, let me take my birth control pill, let me go buy the emergency contraceptive, and now you can rape me. Like, we're just taken advantage of so much by Black men, even white men. Like, everybody takes advantage of us. And we're seen as people who, we're not seen as people. It's proven that if you do something to us, you're not gonna get any type of repercussion. You see that with Breonna Taylor. They charged a man for shooting a wall. Like, that's what you do in a gun range, but we're not charging everybody who goes into the gun range. So it's just like, it's normalized to take advantage of us, and it's been normalized to take advantage of us. We were being raped in slavery. That's why it's so many different tones. It's so many different skin tones and everything. So it's just, everybody just wants to take advantage of us. And that's the biggest problem, even people in our family, because there are a lot of instances where little girls are developing into their selves, and then Mr. Uncle Ruckus finds us attractive, and now he wants a piece of that. So it's not okay.
And it kind of plays into like the hypersexualization of Black women from a young age. I mean, it's commonly known that if a young Black girl who is literally 6 years old is wearing like some shorts and a shirt, and you pin her next to like a photo of a little white girl wearing shorts and a shirt, like they'll say that the little Black girl's like acting too grown, she's acting too ghetto, like it's commonly seen like we're kind of asking for it. And then it takes away the ability for like Black women to have a childhood, because I feel like at least I know I personally was very aware of this dynamic from a young age. My mom made sure to make sure I was educated on it. and it's hard to be innocent and get to be a child. And the more you hear about it, the more you accidentally, I feel like, sometimes play into that not stereotype, but narrative of like being a caretaker and like having to be strong because you had to be strong from a young age. And so everyone else can just feed off of that. It's just kind of horrible.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I was literally traumatized by my elementary school because they had a very strict dress code, and I would wear leggings with the shirt and I'd get in trouble. But then my white counterpart, who had maybe not as big of a butt, could wear leggings and a crop top and be fine. Just things like that, like I guess microaggressions, things like that really subject Black women to such harsh treatment and kind of undermining them and their worth, I feel.
Yeah, I'm just confused as to why my 6-year-old butt matters to anybody, because that's just pedophilia at this point. So it's just like, let me wear my little Justice leggings and live my best life, and then we could go from there. But even in high school, I used to put on some ripped jeans. My dean, who is Black, used to be like, "Oh, go, you're dress coded. This is too much for me." And then the white girls' asses be out. I'm sorry, butts will be out, and then they just look past them like, why can't you feel so comfortable attacking my ripped jeans that go all the way to my ankles, but you're not comfortable attacking the white girl's booty hanging out every day?
Yeah, I never understood that either, because, you know, in high school, it don't have to be what school, but it was always where I'll be next to one of my female friends, and it was as if like the administration was seeking out giving like, what is it, a dress code violations or whatever it was to like my friends for wearing whatever they wear. But I'm telling you, bro, like, on God in heaven, these white girls will be out here, and like,
trust me, I know.
bro, their undercuff of their butt would just be out as if they was at home. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if they wanted it to tan. I don't know what was going on at all. And it just confused me, because it was like, well, like, it was just annoying. It was like, that's unfair. And the Black administration wouldn't kind of help with that. Right? It was a Black dean who went after it. It was a Black principal who made it even more strict against them. It started spreading, and then once the women, the way to handle it for them was, once the women felt like they were being, kind of like followed or stuff like that or whatever, creeped upon, etc. They just made the dress code more strict for men to balance it out, because they thought it was a gender thing. It really is just a treatment of women thing, like, respect them. And so it's crazy how even in our own community we still haven't understood that dynamic. How when to defer from when something's based upon race, and when something is based upon gender within our own society.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to get back to one point, like the TikToks and stuff you're talking about, like the Black men. I mean, I want to say, I recognize that you four and Black women across the country. I honestly think that Black women are the mentally toughest sort of group in America. Because I mean, it's that first off, you have to deal with the racism of just being Black in America. Then you have to deal with the dynamics of being a woman in America, and the dynamics of being a Black woman within the Black community. And it's that
self-identity.
Yeah, and it's like you take so much from this world, and yet you're still able to give. The world the world takes so much from you, and still within whatever ounce of strength that you guys have, you guys are still able to give to not only the community, but to not only the society, but like still give to those Black men that still don't recognize it. And it's,
make up the most compassionate of us, like.
And I mean, and the one thing, like, we, as much as people are, Black men will say they're so strong and tough, I mean, as a group, we're not mentally tough or strong. because whenever something goes wrong, we can resort to anger. Whenever our ego gets hurt, okay, then we resort back to anger. Like we can't even handle our ego getting tossed when their ego is being, trounced every day of the week. And it's like, and the reason I think that so many Black people or Black men now are not, or saying like on the TikToks and stuff about white women and stuff, I think coming from a Black man perspective, I don't think that they're not mentally tough enough for it.
Oh, not at all.
They're not mentally tough to handle somebody with that much depth, that they want to go to something that they think is just easier.
Yeah, okay, I wasn't gonna say it, but
I mean, it's real.
Yeah.
They want to go to something easier. They want to, I don't want to say it, but a yes,
Yeah.
they want that. That's what they want because their ego is not mentally, or their ego is not strong enough. They're not mentally tough enough to deal with anything with actual substance. I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day. Regardless of what you think about, oh no, I just like this. That's just who I am. I mean, it's just you could say all this stuff about, oh yeah, I mean, I just like that. I mean, I don't discriminate. But your track record says otherwise.
Yeah, and it's not just the track record, it's what you've said while you were running that race.
Yeah.
So I mean, when it comes to, I mean, more of a slightly deeper dive into the relationships between Black men and Black women. When it comes to like that specific relationship in terms of like how it's been at school, how it's been when you come across other Black men and talking to them and stuff like that, what are some, like, I guess not even challenges or difficulties, but things that you feel uncomfortable with when interacting with the male part of your ethnicity or your culture?
One, the double standard. I mean, I went to a predominantly white school with Delaney and Christophe, and there was like, I mean, I'd hear from like a decent amount of the guys, they'd be like, I don't date Black girls, but if I do, I'll date like a light skin, and I'm a light skin. And the trick is with that is that I don't feel special. One, don't separate me necessarily from the Black community. Also, it becomes more like a fetish. Like you're a fetish for them. They don't like you as a person. And how are you going to demonize an entire race of people? And Black women are beautiful, okay? Like they are stunning individuals, stunning creatures. So how are you going to completely like demonize an entire group of individuals? And like they'll say like, I only want to date white girls, like as we said, because they're perpetuating stereotypes that like Black girls are ghetto and hard to like deal with. But then while they're saying those things and they're saying like, I don't see color, I dated someone who was white, and so many of my like Black friends came for me that were guys, and they're like, oh, how dare you like not respect like a Black male, like you don't care about us or anything like that. And I'm like, aren't you dating a white girl? Like I was just really confused like about the double standard for it. And like I date people of all races, all gender. Oh, yeah, I date people of all races and all genders. I am bisexual, but like just there's just like a double standard for it, and it's kind of just disrespectful. And again, like how are you going to diss an entire race of people, especially if that race of people is like what your mom looks like, your sister looks like? How are you going to call them all ugly?
Yeah, I feel like it's weird just because I have grown up in like predominantly white schools like, throughout my entire life. And so I haven't, like, me and Christophe, we met in like 8th grade, and that's when we started to be friends. And then immediately people assumed like, oh, Christophe and Delaney, like, that's it. That's what happened. And it's like, it continued like what throughout high school as well. And so it's like, it's weird because like additionally what with Gabby said, like once like white girls and Black guys, they're necessarily criticized for dating outside of their race, but once a Black woman does, it's like, how dare you, like there's so many available Black guys, like are you kidding me, like that's like a disgrace to your family, like what are you doing, it's a disgrace to the community. yeah, there's no repercussions for Black men. They're just like, well, I think all races are beautiful. And so it's like, it comes down back to like hypocrisy. And it's like, if you have these standards for us, why don't you have these standards for them as well?
Yeah, so I think that a relationship with a Black man is important because you guys understand each other on a different wavelength. Like, it's not spoken, but it's historical almost. And I'm reading a book about how family trauma or family ideals pass through history, even though you may not know who it was that started this trauma or this ideal, it's still in you. And I think this is something that you gain from ancestors that you don't even know that have passed it down, that being with a Black man is just something, it's different. Like, it's a different kind of spark that happens. Like, you understand his pain, he understands your pain. I mean, if you have the right Black guy, because sometimes they just be so oblivious to the truth. But when you understand each other's struggle, it's different. It's a different understanding. That's like, it's unspoken. I don't even have words to really describe how the connection is different. And I just think that being able to really be able to be on the mental wavelength as your partner is really, really important. And that doesn't really come with other races. Personally speaking, it doesn't come from other races for me, because you don't understand. Every time I walk out the door, every time my dad walks out the door, I'm scared I'm never going to see him again. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I want somebody who understands my pain and we can grow from the pain together. And that's my whole idea behind being with a Black guy. But it's just so hard to find, especially today, it's hard to find somebody who understands that too, because everybody wants the trendy relationship, which is the interracial thing. But at some point, people have to understand that we were in this together. We were on those ships together. Like, and we can't go away from that now, because society is it's not getting worse, it's just staying the same. And if we want it to get better, even if it's not a relationship, friendships, acquaintances, you have to be able to understand each other to promote growth and change in a community. And it's only a certain level of understanding that another race can do within us. Like, even Hispanics will be like, oh, well, we weren't here originally, blah, 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 but you weren't stolen. That's the difference. So it's just a different wavelength that Black people are on in America.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Them Queen and Slim vibes, you know?
Yeah, no cap. I think that, so one of my biggest challenges in terms of just, I guess, interacting with other Black, other my homies, you know what I'm saying, other Black people, and other people just in general, is I think one of the main things we learn as people is we learn when and where to kind of act, which kind of seems restrictive, but it's a very important lesson. Yeah. Knowing when and where to say something, knowing when and where to do something is highly important, because even if our emotions get triggered, if we're well aware and confident in who we are and just all of that, it can control the situation, which is what I think rooted from a fear tactic, but has become more of a strength. Yeah. With that being said, I get ticked off by ignorance easily. If anybody knows me, well, they know that, bro. I do not like ignorant people. Okay, no bullshit at all. So when I'm around my friends, it's knowing when and where to be like, yo, all this ridicule against your own kind is too far. Yeah. Right. The things that I've heard are, just is borderline just unacceptable. It makes me question like what do you think of your mother? Yeah. When I hear some of these males talk about Black women, or just why they wouldn't do whatever it is with a Black woman. Yeah. What gets very interesting though is that when you get outside of our race, right? When you get outside of Black people, it's because Black men talk so much or talk bad about it, it validates other races talking bad about us, right? And so it's like, because Amiri said it, I can say
it must be true.
Yeah, because Amiri said it, because he's the inside. He's my inside scoop on it, right? So it's like, now, not only within our own community are we hating on our own people,
Making it okay.
Yeah, you're justifying it for other people, which is common among so many different things. But I think that right now that I'm seeing it a lot, because now people like to argue against something that is just pure. Like, people like to argue against just argue against the beauty of Black women, argue against the justice for Breonna Taylor, argue just to talk. Skeptic.
I mean, the whole thing is, out of all of the cases, all of the stuff that's happened, Breonna Taylor's case is the one that's most clear cut.
Yeah.
I mean, George Floyd, you can say he was on, or they had like the toxicology report that he was on some sort of drugs or something like that, or
if it was weed, it's like.
But I'm saying that Breonna Taylor's case is airtight.
Yeah.
Airtight. All the other ones have middle ground. Or even though it might not be factually right, it gives people from the other side an in to say, oh well, you can sway it the other way.
Yeah.
It has bits and pieces that are kind of skeptical. Or even in Ahmaud Arbery's case, regardless of what it seemed like at first, the first talking point was, well, he reached for the gun. He reached for the shotgun that the guy was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fighting for his life, but you can see how some of them have like some faults in it that could have the other side say,
Yeah.
But the thing about Breonna Taylor's case is that it is airtight.
Well, they did try though. There were this kid, the one that I constantly talk to. He's like Mexican, a Republican.
Okay.
One of those.
Yeah.
So he was talking to me about the Breonna Taylor case. So he was getting mad at me because I was, saying just for Breonna Taylor, and he thinks I'm ignorant, which is just cute.
Yeah.
So he came to me and tried to talk to me as if I was dumb, and I thought it was very interesting because it feeds my ego, right?
So what was he saying?
He was saying that Breonna Taylor's case was that her being killed by the police officer was justified because there was a police report saying that she was involved with I think it was drug smuggling or something dealing with that.
A previous boyfriend or something?
Yeah, or it was the one they were coming after or whatever it was.
I'm saying, because I think it was a previous boyfriend
that she was involved in something.
She was whoever she was connected with. Yeah. But the thing is that he was in jail the day before that.
Yeah.
So that's, first off, bad on their part. Second of all, the one thing I don't understand is like all of these like conservatives, or not even just conservative, but like the people who, a lot of them also support like gun rights and the NRA and stuff like that. And the reason that they support all of that is because they believe that in this world, the government cannot be too big, so you should always have arms just in case. I mean, that's the Second Amendment rights, just in case, or just in case you have to try to overthrow the government, that it steps too much into your life or it crosses the line. So all those people that believe that about limited government and that type of stuff should be the first people about this case, because the police barge in, don't say anything. The boyfriend has a legal firearm. That's what you have it for when somebody's breaking into your house. So when that sort of thing happens, and if they were in such danger getting shot at, they said that he shot the ground. A warning shot.
Yeah, like back up.
So how is it that somebody who's getting their house broken into has more restraint than trained police officers? One. Two, he's exercising his Second Amendment rights. So where are all these people?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard now because they keep saying it's not about race. But when it's every single case, if you say that they were white, it'd be a different, it's coming down to just race. Regardless of what they're saying, it's about race at the end of the day. I mean, it's sad, but I mean back to like what you were saying about like the black men like justifying it for the rest of them. It comes down to like at the beginning. I've noticed that it's like a lot of the black men, some way or another, got their fragile ego hurt by a black woman earlier.
Their mom.
Or no, not even their mom. I'm saying like, it's like at the beginning of whether they're dating life or romantic life or whatever it is, it always seems at the beginning they might have been trying to get a black woman, and ego probably got hurt from not being able, or maybe not being mentally tough enough to be with one.
Yeah.
Because they're so mentally
Right.
strong.
Right.
So that it like plants seeds. And now they're the ones saying, oh, well, trash that, trash.
Yeah.
It's like
I get you.
you couldn't get it. So now you're trashing it.
Yeah.
And it makes a bad look on the rest of us because you couldn't handle your ego.
Or accept the fact that at that time you probably wasn't mature.
Yeah,
enough.
you weren't mature enough.
Still not mature enough.
Still not
Clearly.
mature enough.
Yeah, no, I think that I just think that overall, I think that it's a big issue within our community, right? I think we have three main issues, right? Within our community. I feel like one of the main ones is the treatment just towards black women. I feel like,
I mean, it's been the longest one.
Yeah, I feel like that's just, whether it's, in a dating way, relationships, whether it's in friendships and how you treat your black friends versus how you are with your white friends, like, or just any other type of race or, I hate that we live in a race culture.
I mean, yeah, but it's become so like to the point that a lot of you guys were making earlier, like it's become so like over sexualized that like it's not even, you have to normalize friendships with black women. Like that shouldn't be something you have to normalize. I mean, I've had friendships with black women all the time. Like Sam, I'm at her house all the time watching movies with Maya. It's like
Tyrah.
I mean, it's like I've always had friendships with black women, but that's because for one thing I noticed is that like growing up, I've always been like you and I always been deeper individuals, and sometimes I can't find that with other black men because they want to deal with the materialistic aspects of life, and it's the black woman that I can console with on issues that matter.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been friends with black women. I've not even tried to get into like relationships, just friendships with black women, because on an intellectual side, they have always been somebody I can deal with, or somebody that like pushes me intellectually.
Yeah, for
even on a friendship, like this is not even on a friendship basis, level. And that's why I've always friendships with black women have always been something. But the fact that we have to normalize it within our community, it's like,
I mean, I definitely have been. I prefer first it's a guy thing, right, guys? I don't like being around immature people, and so I'm a single child. So growing up, I just grew up around adults, right? My way of life, my outlook on life is very adult-like. So it's very much where I feel that I can relate most to like black women because first, they understand things that some people don't understand. Second, I feel like I feel it's an unfortunate thing, but it's a whole different conversation. But I feel like going through certain struggles kind of makes you mature at a younger age. And if, what I'm saying, and if, as you said earlier, right, as some of the most discriminated people in our nation, you face a lot of those struggles at such an early age, right? Emotionally, mentally, and physically. So for me, as I was going through my type of things, I opened myself up and for them to confide in me, and I wanted to confide in them. And just because of that, it became a normal thing where majority of my friends that I have now are black women. Like my best friends, they're black, they're black women, and it's because I just feel like there is the truth. They're 100% honest, right? 100% compassionate, 100% there. There's no ego conflicting there.
No BS.
There's no BS. There's no, there's no homies gonna do this with this girl. There's no homie, you know what I'm saying? It's genuine. And
a lot of guys can't take that.
can't handle that because within themselves, they have not made peace with their ego, made peace with their confidence, made peace with their struggles, and made peace with their, and even recognize their own things that they overcame because they don't have that type of person in their corner. And as much as we can be that for them, it's something about someone else from a different culture who is, where you can call them beautiful without having to be sexually attracted to them, where you can confide, you know, there's something about that that is just special. And, you know, it extends towards women, and then it just strengthens with, you know, Black women.
I mean, it's a feedback loop. You help them, they help you. It keeps going back and forth, and I mean, it's something that we desperately need, especially for a lot of our Black men. And I guess this is kind of running a little long, but I guess it can kind of run on. But earlier, Sam said something about it's hard to see like the light at the end of the tunnel. Whether it's this movement, whether it's a lot of whether it's this movement or relationships within the Black community. How do you guys see the light at the end of the tunnel? Because Black women have always, at least shown that they still have that hope. So how do you guys like have that hope? Because I mean, it's something that we need to.
Whoever's gonna leave soon, you can go first.
Yeah, I just think it's important to have these like conversations like these, and just to kind of air out any grievances or any things that we find that we do take offense to, or we do have problems with within our own communities, because we're trying to advocate for our entire community, yet we have so many like tiny problems within it. And so I think it's like we need to get all of our stuff together before we really even try to branch out, because we're not united on on the same fronts. And so it's like we kind of need to find a common ground and really fix the interior problems within the Black community, and then really try and branch out and solve other problems.
Yeah, I agree with Delaney. We have so many problems within our own community with colorism, which I'll talk about in a second, and just gender roles within our own community. Colorism. Okay, so I'm very dark skinned, as you can tell. Colorism in the Black community, well, I guess we can start with the definition, is just the prejudice and discrimination against people of darker skin tone. And this is seen a lot within the Black community. It's almost like a hierarchy scale of light-skinned women versus dark-skinned women. I actually did a project on this for my African American Studies class, and I did a painting, and it was like split in the middle of a light-skinned woman and a dark-skinned woman. On the light side, it had like long brown wavy hair, like minute facial features, plush pink lips, thin eyebrows, cute little nose. And then the dark-skinned woman had the stereotypical Black features of big lips, big nose, bushy eyebrows, kinky curly hair, just to show like the contrast and how one side is seen as so much better than the other, although both sides are beautiful. And it's just really, it irks my spirit, because it's sad. You see that we fetishize light-skinned women for whatever reason, but then just demean dark-skinned women on so many levels. There's this article by Bell Hooks called Selling Hot Pussy. I think it might be, I don't know if it's like an article or like an excerpt of a book or something, but she talks about how even in the model industry, when they use Black models, they choose light-skinned models over dark-skinned models, because light-skins have white features, I guess, of like the long hair and, you know, just small facial features. And it's really sad. And so I feel like we're just so divided in that aspect that once we can't do anything else until we fix that, until we reunite our community and not have this stigma of light skin versus dark skin. Like, we're all beautiful, we're all amazing, we're all in this together, you know what I mean? So it's just a whole situation. And yeah,
so how do you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
I see it by just kind of forming these relationships, by just, like Delaney said, talking with talking with y'all and just educating more people. I think just kind of building connections and friendships and relationships with all types of Black people within our community, and just kind of bringing us all together through these conversations and friendships and stuff to work on tackling the greater issues we have.
Mm-hmm. That's what's up. Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like the light at the end of the tunnel is like what Delaney and what Sam have been saying, just building empathy, because everything we should be doing should be out of love. And we got to really focus on connecting with each other, because as we've seen, there's a lot of issues within the Black community. Like, how are you going to be oppressed and be the oppressor onto either dark-skinned woman, or the LGBT community within the Black community? Like, you can't do both. You have to choose one at this point. And like, we just need to come together and really just like, you just need to come together and like really understand and have empathy for each other. And then from there, we can go on and beyond and prove ourselves, not have to prove ourselves, but like show ourselves up and defend ourselves to the rest of the world.
I agree. I just don't think there's really an end of the tunnel, but I do think there's a light, because it's so institutionalized and engraved in our society of like demeaning Black women and just not protecting them as much. So I just think that that's going to take centuries to get over, because it took centuries to build up. So it's not really an end of the tunnel, but the light is that people are becoming more aware now, since all of this has, well, I'm not going to say all of it has happened, but since the recent events that have happened, people are becoming more aware, deciding to educate themselves. And that's kind of the only step that we can take, really, is you can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink it. You can't force people, read this book. You can't force somebody to learn and educate themselves. But the fact that people are taking the initiative and are self-driven to understand what other people are going through, and not just thinking that the world revolves around white, that's something that is monumental for the society that we live in, especially the past 4 years. So I just think that if that continues, and if Black women are more outspoken, if people use their platforms to really drive the positive image of the Black woman and not the negative stereotypical one, then we will be better off than we were before. We're not going to be fine, but we'll be better off.
Yeah, and I agree with Tyrah, just using our platforms to just speak on these. And that's what I want to do as a theater major. I want to bring more Black representation within just media and in the entertainment industry, just to educate more people and, just make everything a little more Black. But yeah.
Yeah, this is what Black looks like. All different shades, all different interests, all different aspirations. This is what Black looks like.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you so much. I know Delaney hopped out, but thank you to everybody who joined us today
on this fine Saturday
morning.
With interruptions, but you already know about that. It's going to get cut out.
It's going to get cut out. We'll put some gospel over it as we air this on Sunday tomorrow. It will be edited and everything. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, because first of all, it took a lot for us to even build up the courage to ask people to be on this, and for a time like this, just to have cultural representation and to have very amazing women speak. Like, you guys have all done great things in your lives, and so we thank you greatly. You know what I'm saying? And we've learned so much as Black men, and we hope that we can continue to take the lessons that you taught us through this conversation and pass it on. Right? Put it on to our Black men. And hopefully, as we do have more Black men on the show, that is something that we bring up. We can always refer back to the 4 original ladies who were first on our podcast. Yeah. So Queens, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to all of you guys. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you soon. Message from the New Knowledge Podcast. Yes. All right. Adios, everybody. Thank you so much.
Dope.
So beautiful. Let's get it popping. Let's wrap it up. All right.
So, very deep and emotional episode, I would say.
Yes.
Learned so much.
This was my favorite.
This is just, hey, it just keeps getting better. It keeps getting better. My favorite. But I mean, what was this? An hour long? That's only an hour out of your time to learn from somebody else or learn from other people, even within your own community. I mean, it doesn't take much. It just took us just asking, and that's what we want you guys to do. Young Black kings, young Black queens, especially for this particular episode. Just reach out, and see how you can grow within your community.
Yeah, because first you need to understand that these women are powerful in their own right, but just them wanting to have a conversation with us, they have to tap into things they probably experienced in the past, to recognize how emotionally strong they've been in the past. I saw some of the faces like they were looking back on certain things, remembering certain things. Like, you have to realize that we go through a lot, but there's strength in conversation, there's strength in passing lessons on. Conversation. Yeah. And that's what this has been a great representation of what we want this podcast to be. We want this podcast to be collaborative, right? We want this podcast to be where you can come here, drop the most beautiful gems, right?
Talk about some knowledge today.
Yeah, exactly, bro. We learned so much, and they listened to us, which was like, just because of the topic that we were on, it's just all that more amazing that they were intently listening to us and piggybacking off what we said, when we're more of the person being critiqued in this scenario.
Like we were saying before, most of this, we're just gonna kick back and listen. Right. That's what it is.
Yeah, because that's what we have to learn to do, is to listen.
A wise man once said nothing at all.
Big facts. And us wise men just wanted to tell you, continue to support New Knowledge Podcast.
Yes.
It's been an amazing episode. We can do it. We can have guests. We showed you we can have guests. So you know how it is. You know how it looks. It looks amazing. This podcast will be up. If you're listening right now, go ahead. Just go over there, like it on YouTube. It's the same URL, or same New Knowledge Podcast tab. 10 episode. So we'll be up tomorrow, hopefully 9 a.m. Morning. The video, this will definitely be up by tomorrow. I just want to thank all of you who are tuning in, all of you who have tuned in, and all of you who have just listened in the past. I think that this has been a big step in terms of episodes that we've had. And we just want to thank you so much. Thank you to all the amazing women. We had Harvard, we had Howard, we had UCLA, you know what I'm saying? We had Northwestern.
We had the entire spectrum of excellence.
Black excellence. And we talked about making Black excellence
an expectation. And
that's what it is. We perpetuate what we say.
In the flesh. Yeah.
Amen.
You have listened to episode 7
of the New Knowledge Podcast. Yes, sir. You know what it is. Keep up.